Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This, of course, is another manga haul reaction video today. Wait, manga haul video, not manga haul reaction video. My bad. Of course, this is the manga haul for October and... no, September and October. Right, there we go. Finally got it. A little bit late coming in sometime in the second week of November, but that's been late to doing these before. Got lots of stuff. We got lots of stuff. If you're on the floor, you can't see it. We got lots of stuff from manga. We got some novels. We got some art books. We got some Blu-rays, and as well as some Western comics that I'll be going through. I'm not going to try and take too much time with this, but I will say it is definitely, I'm not very good with my money. And some of you who may have watched one or more of my previous manga videos, you're probably like, yeah, I've been known this shit, bro. I know you're terrible with your money. But some of these, it may even surprise you. So, without further ado, let's just get started with the manga. So, I'm going to start with something that I've been reading recently, and that is the first hardcover full-color edition of Highschool of the Dead. Now, I knew Highschool of the Dead from, popular discourse, people talking about it. It's a fun little zombie thing. I wasn't part of this sort of huge zombie thing when the zombies were huge in mainstream media. I've played the Walking Dead video games, I've played Dead Rising, Left 4 Dead, and all that. But I was never huge into a lot of the zombie stuff when it was getting really big and when there's a lot of different zombie things coming out. So while I won't really say that this is like a breath of fresh air, so to speak, it is kind of like a nice change of pace, really nice, visceral, lots of fan service as well. Maybe I should have saved this for later. I don't know how YouTube's going to react to that, if they're just going to not recommend my video at all because of that. But whatever. It's been a lot of fun so far. I really fuck with the art style. It's by Shoji Sato. I have the first volume of Triage X, which is really cool. Unfortunately, this series, High School of the Dead, never got to finish because the author, the writer of a portion of this series, Daisuke Sato, passed away. But so far it's been a lot of fun either way. And I hope in the future, because this is another one of the greatest formats for a manga to come in. It's really big, contains 4 volumes, very thick, full color, all of that, and it has a lot of extras as well, which is really cool. There seems to be a lot of love and care that went into putting this together, which is awesome. You don't see this kind of thing done for a lot of manga very often, so it's just cool to see. I know Triage X and Shoji Sato, the artist for both series, aren't as well known, but as by the general public as High School of the Dead is. I do kind of hope they'll do one of these for Triage X in the future or something, because 4 of the early volumes are completely out of stock from what I've seen of Triage X, which really sucks because I want to get into it, Ooh, let's go with these. First we got Burn the Witch Volume 1. Very confusing release. For one thing, I appreciate having the physical release, but for one thing, the cover price on this thing is $20, which, grabbing a different volume of a different series, it's the same height as a normal size volume. Essentially, this product is $10 extra in a normal volume, because this is $10. Also, this is another thing I got in September and October. I'll go into that a little bit later. It's basically $10 extra for a slipcase, Again, I appreciate having this, and I bought it on Right Stuff. I only paid about $14 for it, but it still cost me more than what one volume of Tokyo Ghoul would have cost me, and it has very little to it. It has this slipcover, and it has this cool little double-sided poster. Here's this side, here's this side, but in my eyes, that does not justify the $20 price tag. It is a little bit thicker than a normal volume because of the nature of how this manga was made out. But not only is it a confusing price point, it was also released basically a year after it was initially released in Japan, which is also confusing because Viz Media simulpubbed the chapters as they came out in Japan. So the reason it took so long is I don't know why, because this isn't even a very high quality slipcase anyway. For $20, I was expecting it to be a lot more. Not even a single color page except for the poster at the beginning. Disappointing, but I don't know what else to say, you know? I still am glad to have it, but, like, Volume 14 of Season 2 of Rosario Vampire is about as thick. It has a full color page, and it's also only $10. Sure, the rest of the series was also $10, so they're keeping consistent, but that really just says to me that literally the only reason this is $20 instead of the regular $10 is because of the slipcase, which is, well, disappointing, because I've been supporting Viz Media for a few years now. A lot of my manga that I own is from Viz Media. All I'm hoping for is, for one thing, to don't charge $20 for the rest of Burn the Witch. This was not worth $20. The cover price should not be $20. $15 at most. At most. And also, when you do Chojin X, and maybe when you do Ghost Reaper Girl in the future, those are currently ongoing manga from two authors that I enjoy their works a lot. Do write by them as well. Don't have a shitty release for them as well. Next up, Volume 6 of Spy Family recently got announced for an anime. Super excited for that because this volume was also great. A majority of it was regarding the other spy that has a crush on the main guy, Lloyd, the main guy. Really entertaining stuff. It'll be really interesting to see how this gets adapted. It's a combination of Wit Studio and Clover Works. Wit Studio, of course, most well known for Attack on Titan, and then Cloverworks, I believe their most popular work was the first Promised Neverland before they shit the bed with season 2. But Cloverworks is also doing the adaptation of My Dress Up Darling, which I love the manga for that, and the trailer looks amazing. So I have high hopes for this one. Next up, 2 volumes, volumes 12 and 13 of Eden Zero. This is a wonderful manga. I'm currently reacting to it right now. By the time you're watching this video, I still haven't reacted to any new chapters yet. I've been really both procrastinated and busy when it comes to that, but it's a great series. I haven't peeked into either volume yet, but I do love the volume covers for these. Very nice. This volume was one that I was waiting for a long time for, too. This also took a year to come out in English, despite it coming out in a year ago, in Japan, that's right. Haven't read it yet because I feel like I need to reread the entire series beforehand, but it might also be good to wait a little bit longer too, because from what I know, the author Haruko Ichikawa is still on hiatus, which is unfortunate, but I mean, she can take all the time she needs, honestly. It's a great manga. This cover is definitely very different from most of the other covers seen so far, so it's definitely got my attention, especially because even though I want to reread the series to make sure everything is fresh in my mind, I do remember, the very last page in Volume 10. So, that's going to be exciting. Volume 8 of Witch Hat Atelier. I've only read up to Volume 4 so far. It's a great, wonderful, really fun series. It's starting to get slowly darker based on the end of Volume 4. I've only read Volume 4, so I haven't read this yet, but to be fair, they're pretty slow on this anyway, as far as I know. At least on Right Stuff. Pre-orders for Volume 9 hasn't even started yet. But I'll probably start reading more of it sooner rather than later because I have a friend of mine who borrowed Volume 1 from me, so I don't know how long it's going to take for him to read it because I lent him a bunch of Volume 1s for 5 different series. But I'm probably going to put this up on my priority list because of that. Here we go. Next pile of stuff. Volume 1 of Hitomi-chan is Shy with Strangers. A lot of fun. I basically knew nothing about this going in, but it's very fun. I definitely... part of the reason I picked this up is because I recognized her somewhere before. I seen her before this volume came out, and one of those I believe in tomboy supremacy memes. So that's basically why I picked it up. It's a lot of fun. It's weird that they have a little... It's embossed, the front. The text here on the logo, it's slightly raised. You can't tell in the video, but just trust me, it is. But it's a short volume, but it's a lot of fun. Bit fan servicey because that's sort of the main appeal is the main girl, Hitomi. She's the draw, so to speak, and you know what, honestly, it's not bad. I enjoy it. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets an anime soon. If it doesn't already, I don't think it does. Let me go check. Yeah, no, it has no anime yet. This seems like prime for getting an anime in the future. So it might be something worth looking out for. Lambent of the Lamb, I've got nothing to say here. This is the second volume in a series I've never heard of before. It was a blind box that I got. There's another blind box that I got that I'm more interested in, but this is not it. Next up, we got a bunch of volumes from the series Tomo-chan is a Girl, which is another series I hope gets an anime at the very least. For one thing, it's finished. They could do it in one 12-episode season. It's a 4-panel comedy series, comedy rom-com. Tomboy is the main character. I did also have Volume 1. I can't remember if I showed it off in a different video. I don't think I did, but I lent Volume 1 of this series to a friend. So I have Volume 1, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 7, and Volume 8. So I've read the entire series. I read the volumes I was missing via digital. I just found it on my preferred manga reading website, and it was definitely worth reading. I enjoyed it a lot. I would recommend it. I feel like it should. I think it deserves an anime. I don't know if or when it will actually get an anime, but I hope it does. Next up, Machimaho Volume 2. This is another impulse buy. I bought it because it looked interesting, but I have not read the first or the second volume yet, so I pretty much got nothing to say other than I'm still super interested in the premise of it. But to be fair, I have not interacted with a lot of whatchamacallit, Magical Girl series. Booty Royale. 2 words, guilty pleasure. It was I don't know if I am actually going to continue this. I've read the entire volume. Compiles the first 2 volumes together. Yeah, you can tell by the spine, but it's definitely a trashy read for if you don't care. There's no point in covering it. I've shown it already. Artwork's all right. The story is weird, and definitely, for the love of God, I'm gonna look straight in the eyes. It's not for everyone. Like, maybe read the half of the first chapter, and by the time you're done with half the first chapter, you'll probably know if you want to keep reading it or not. Like, I don't know if I'm going to keep reading this, because this is a fairly new release, so I could pre-order the next 2 volumes, but it was an experience, I'll tell you that much. What's up next? One Punch Man Volume 23. This was a great volume. I think a few volumes back, I was feeling a little bit fatigued, so to speak, because I didn't really care about I believe the character is named Flashy Flash. He was fighting some ninjas, and I didn't really care for that fight, but every fight in this volume was amazing. You know, we got to see a bit of Atomic Samurai's, his disciples, rather, and then we got to see this guy called, I think, Black Sperm? I think he's called something different in the official Viz one, because they don't care, or not don't care, they just, they don't want to call him that? I can't remember, but I remember hearing the name Black Sperm from somebody in this, I assume in the online community. But I think they changed it in the Viz Media one. Whatever. I know what it is, so I'll get over it. But then there was a fight with Zombie Man and like Hobo God or something like that. The fights are pretty crazy, and Darkshine Black Luster going up against somebody. That was pretty cool. Still no sign of Garo waking up and doing anything yet in Volume 23. But I guess it is what it is. I'm pretty sure the English release is basically caught up with the Japanese release anyway. At least of the volumes. I'm pretty sure. Yusuke Murata, though, I don't think he's finished with the Monster Association arc, but that's fine, I guess. Chainsaw Man, Volume 7. What happened in this volume? Quan Shi, that's right. More people attacking Denji, looking for his heart. Quan Shi was probably the star of the show. She's really interesting with her harem of monster girls. It's kind of perfect timing that this came out recently, because, you know, October's the spooky month, and one of the girls in Quan Shi's harem just keeps repeating the word Halloween. So, super great volume. Really, as far as I know, that we barely have any information on the Chainsaw Man anime. We got that pre-animated preview. I think it was pre-animated? No, wait, that was Attack on Titan. Back when the trailer for the first half of Season 4 came out. I don't know how many episodes it's going to have. Don't know how, like, the average animation is going to look. We know that the map is going to go crazy on the fight animations, but, like, downtime when people are just, like, talking to each other. I wonder how that's going to go. And we don't even know a release date. Who knows? Who knows what they're gonna do? Because as far as I know, it's been over a year, and part 2 hasn't even started yet. Tatsuki Fujimoto was just doing other things. There's a spin-off light novel which I hope gets published in English, because I've seen some illustrations and they look pretty cool. And also Look Back, I think it was called, and then a bunch of stories he wrote from, I think, when he was in his teenage years and to when he was in his 20s or something like that, which is really cool. And I hope those get published in English too, because I want to know a little bit more about the person who created the Chainsaw Man manga. I want to know. I'm genuinely curious, which is something true about a different thing later on in this haul, which is going to take me forever to get to, because I haven't even gotten through halfway through all the manga I've gotten. Volume 6 of The Way of the Househusband. Did I even read this one, or am I crazy? Oh no, I definitely read this one. A lot of fun. I also watched the first half of the anime. Better than I expected. I was one of those people who shit on it because it had basically no animation, but then I watched Record of Ragnarok, and despite the animation, I did enjoy it. I'm kind of looking forward to season 2 to see what that's all about. Yeah, no, the Way of the Househusband anime wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Have not watched part 2 yet. But I'll look into that soon, because I have Netflix and I'll just watch it there. Here we have the first volume of Solo Leveling. Korean webcomic. Have not read any of it yet, but I have a friend who, 2 friends actually, who are super into it. They're up to date with the webcomic, South Korean webcomic. But I went to Barnes & Noble with one of them in the last month or so, and I showed this to him because I was like, hey, check it out, they had the physical release. And he's like, no, this is stupid because it wasn't made for it. And as far as I know, well, not as far as I know, yeah, this was not, the original series was not made with having a physical volume in mind. It's really cool that they've got a full color thing, but even though I'm not showing it very well, you can kind of see that there's a lot more blank and negative space around the panels than you would normally expect in a physical comic book or manga volume or graphic novel or whatever you want to call it. So it was definitely, they had to do some workarounds to make it work in this, but I feel like if they did extra editing, they could have made it work even better, make it look more like a regular comic. But it is what it is, I guess. This is the first South Korean webcomic turned physical comic book I've ever seen, personally. So I guess it's just the difference in formats. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Again, I haven't read it yet. That might be something I do, because I know it's popular. It might be something I do reactions to on the channel once I catch up to Eden Zero at some point in the future. Ooh, all of the volumes that I've gotten over the past few months in my attempt to eventually be able to actually read the manga. Here we have volume 4, and then volume 9 of Kame ga Kill, which I think is literally the same character. Is that the same character? I think that's the same character. The colors are slightly different, but then so are the back of it. That's crazy. 4 and 9. We also have volume 5. I'm slowly but surely progressing to where I can actually read the Akame ga Kill volume, but I am still, of course, missing a few volumes. I believe I am missing volumes 3, 8, 10, and 12. Here's volume 13. I believe those are the volumes I'm missing. But once I have those, I'll actually be able to read this manga. It's taken forever, but we are nearing, I am personally nearing the end game in regards to that. When it comes to Akame ga Kill 0, which is the prequel sort of thing that was written after Akame ga Kill, I think I'm only a few volumes away from having them all. But here we have, what was that? 5, 6, 7, and 10. I'm only missing a couple of volumes. I don't know exactly which ones yet, but I have basically all of them at this point. So yeah. Right, next up. This a Japanese version of volume 74 of Bleach, as some of you may or may not know. Bleach, one of my favorite manga of all time. Definitely prefer this version of the the cover art for volume 74 over the English version. That's another thing that disappointed me more recently about Viz, is how they messed with the covers for Bleach. They also kind of messed with the ones from Chainsaw Man, and they made it, in my opinion, slightly worse. But I guess it is what it is. it's just like a cool thing to have. I got it from Tokyo Otaku Mode, and they were doing like free thing. It was free, as in it cost nothing, but I did have to pay like I think $10 shipping, and then I waited a few months. It took a few months, but I got it, and now it's just kind of a cool thing to have on the shelf as a person who is a fan of the series. Here we have Black Clover Volume 27. Black Clover, absolutely one of my favorite New Gen series. I'm sure it'll get there eventually, Eden Zero that is, but currently this is my favorite, like, currently running shonen series. It is amazing. This volume where we learned about Liebe, Asta's demon, was chef's kiss. It was phenomenal. And you know what? No matter what they say about the anime, even I talk shit about the anime, it has its moments, one of those moments being episode 170. I was in the middle of watching the anime-only arc, but I stopped, and I haven't gone back to it. I haven't dropped the anime outright, but I did go and watch episode 170 after finishing this volume, and man, even if you're a manga only for Black Clover, even if you don't care about Black Clover whatsoever, well, maybe if you don't know anything about Black Clover, you shouldn't watch it, because that's spoilers. Huge, massive spoilers. But if you're a manga only, do check out episode 170. It's really, really good. Next up, Volume 2 of the Golden Wind manga. Haven't read it yet, but I have watched all the anime that's available at this point. Excited for Part 6, but so I don't know if there's any like weird changes they decided to make. There's still the terrible like big black boxes that they occasionally do for certain chapters. Like what they're cutting off. I don't know what's up with that. So, but again, since I haven't read this, I don't know if there are any more egregious changes, like what they did with Gang Star changing it to Primo Mafioso. But next up, volumes 5 and 6 of Parasyte. This is related to something else later on, to the blind box from later on. But great manga. I have not read these ones yet, but this is another series I'm slowly but surely collecting all of. I only got 2 volumes left before I have them all. And as I watched, of course, the anime first. Most people, I assume, did. So this is cool to have. It's very cool to have. Apparently, these 2 volumes include extras after the story, which they just include. There's some extra blank pages. So I don't know what exactly it means like that by that. Obviously, I haven't read them yet, but you know what? Since this is here, this should technically be for November because I got this a few days ago. But Frieren, no, I got it today as of this recording, which is November 8th. But I got this like a day early from the official release date, and I have read about halfway through it. Really great manga so far. There were some weird, I assume, typos in the first 2 chapters. They're small, and I was like able to notice them and like, oh, that's not right. It should be like this, you know, when I was reading it. But it's so weird that it happened at all, because after reading the first few chapters of it, it deserves a good quality release, you know. This is basically just a standard volume, which is all right. It's fine. Would have been cool to see a little bit of maybe like a color page at the beginning, just to celebrate this new series, but I guess it's not particularly popular. I assume a lot of people are excited to check this out, whether or not they've read the digitals beforehand, or if they just read like the plot synopsis and are super interested. But who knows? I don't know what it is. It just feels like here and there, slightly amateurish because of some minor errors in some dialogue. I don't know. But again, I do recommend it, though. Good volume. Well, good series so far after the first few chapters. I wonder if it's going to get an anime. I don't know yet. All right, next up we got this huge-ass pile, which I actually should flip over so I can show them off in order properly. We got a bunch of volumes of the series called Takane Hana, which is a rom-com. I talked a little about it before when I got the first 2 volumes, and I have now since then read up to volume 15. I'm kind of waiting to read volume 16 and 17 because the last volume, volume 18, has not come out yet. I pre-ordered the limited edition version because, well, I pre-ordered the limited edition version before I got all of these volumes and actually read them. It was a gamble to see if I would like this series, and it definitely paid out. After reading 15 volumes. I'm super into it. I love it so much, so much. It is genuinely a very good read. I wholeheartedly recommend it to anybody watching this, whether or not you like rom-coms or not. Typically rom-coms aren't really my thing. I'll watch a few here and there, but mostly I read action stuff. But this one melts my heart. Absolutely love it. Lots of great funny moments as well. Artwork is beautiful. I love it a lot. I especially love the little faces that the author Yuki Shiwasu. I like what she draws for the little faces for the comedy bits. They're all so fun, and she also does amazing, heartwarming, wholesome, and also some really heartstring tugging moments as well. There's some drama. Overall, it's a great read. Only 18 volumes. This is another series I do hope gets an anime. If they go by relatively fast, they could probably do it in just a 24 episode season, unless they want to do season 1 and 2 that's only 12 episodes each or something. I don't know. But I kind of did accidentally spoil myself a little bit when I was skimming through volumes. That's something I do occasionally. When I get new volumes, I'll skim through it. So I spoiled myself a little bit of what happens at the end of this volume, but I won't spoil it for you. But it's kind of a big deal. Getting close to the end of the manga section here. Here we're going to go with one of the biggest impulse buys. Well, I guess technically Takane Hana would be the biggest impulse buy. Technically not. Biggest one's yet to come. But this was also another impulse buy. I basically knew nothing about Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. All I knew is that it was generally popular. It was getting a second season confirmed already. And some people condemn it as being a bad series because they don't like... early on, when Miss Nagatoro herself on the cover here, right here, is bullying Senpai, which is the main character. I'm pretty sure he has a name. I don't know what it is yet. I've read all of these 8 volumes that I own right now, but they haven't mentioned his name. They've mentioned Nagatoro's first name is Hayase, but that's pretty much it so far. But basically, I saw all 8 volumes were in stock on Right Stuff, and I was like, I'll bite. I'll bite. I will get them. And I did. And then while I was waiting for them to show up, I watched the first season. I watched all 12 episodes. It was fantastic. I loved it a lot. And for those who are skeptical of the series because of the bullying aspect of it, I don't really see it as bullying. It's more like playful teasing that sometimes goes too far. But for one thing, in the little sketches in between chapters early on, it depicts Nagatoro as being self-conscious, like, oh, I think I might have gone too far. And basically for anyone who's off-put by the early bullying and people who outright drop the series because of the bullying, let me say firsthand, after watching the anime and then reading the manga, it is toned down a lot, and it becomes a lot more of a wholesome, rom-com even. There is still the teasing and, bullying moments here and there where Nagatoro is messing with Senpai. However, again, they do tone down in both severity and, how often they happen, from my knowledge. It's really kind of something. I don't know what I'm doing with this voice here, but all I'm trying to say is it is worth checking out. It's a lot of fun, some great moments. I'm looking forward to more of this series. Season 2 is probably going to be great because I thought Season 1 was really well done. I love the colorfulness of the volume covers. I will say they are slightly bigger than normal Viz volumes this way. They're wide, but they're the same height, so they kind of stick out a little bit, which is weird. But I'm looking forward to more of the anime, more of the manga volumes, and I'm really interested to see what kind of changes they'll make in the anime, because they weren't huge changes in between season 1 and the manga, but they sort of moved things around and adjusted things. They would very often take 2 chapters from the manga and basically combine them, and it was really cool having watched the anime and then basically straight after reading the manga, seeing in what way specifically they adjusted certain aspects of the manga chapters so that 2 unrelated manga chapters melded together into one thing. It was really cool. Specifically, the one I think about most is the combination of, I don't know which chapter number it is, but the chapter with the vampire stuff where Nagatoro is pretending to be a vampire, and the chapter where Nagatoro found Senpai with an ecchi manga. They combined those two chapters, which were initially completely separate, into one thing, and it worked so well. I was so surprised how they did that. It was genuinely really cool to see. And also the way they combined the vampire thing with the ecchi manga chapter. When I first watched the anime, I just couldn't help but like kind of smile. I was like, "Oh, is that a reference to Rosario Vampire?" Because they called the manga like Vampire Boob or Boob Vampire or something like that. And I would be so happy if that was genuinely like when they were like workshopping this in like the pre-production phase. I assume they're just like, "Hey, let's combine these two chapters together and make a Rosario Vampire reference." That would have been pretty dope. I would have the anime studio or whoever made that decision would have even more respect from me than, you know, they already do, because the anime was great. The last few things of manga here, we got Boruto Volume 12. It's been a while since I've read this one, but it was really interesting to see. I kind of got spoiled about this guy. What was his name? I've forgotten his name. What's his name? Kashin Koji, that's right. I got spoiled by on the identity of Kashin Koji, but the fight scene in the manga was pretty dope, and they're setting up some things that are kind of interesting, you know. It's still not the best manga ever made, I will admit that, but I enjoy it a lot. I think it's for what it is, it's good, and it's potentially going to expand on something that wasn't expanded on as well as it could have in OG Naruto, which would be really cool, because they were setting up the Otsutsuki as this like huge thing, but they didn't last very long. I know that's a common criticism of Naruto, but even a little bit of going into a little bit more like lore regarding Otsutsukis is interesting in my book, and it's enough to keep me around for at least a little while, you know what I mean? I'm just curious as to when that time skip is going to come in, my guy, because I know it's a monthly release. Maybe Jump Fest will mention something, which, by the way, unrelated, well, kind of related, back to when I was talking about Bleach. Bleach is getting a stage at Jump Festa, and I think the official anime Twitter for Bleach was like, you're going to get more information on the Thousand Year Blood War anime at the thing, which is, it's so exciting. But next up, volumes 6 and 7 of How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift. I don't believe I've read volume 7 yet. Looking at it, no, I don't believe I have. But I've read the first 6 volumes, obviously. It's a lot of fun. I can't remember if I mentioned this the last time I talked about these volumes in a video, but it's written by the same person who does, like, I think Kengan Ashura, or one of those huge, like, muscle mangas, like Baki or something like that, which is crazy to think about, but that's just because of the different art styles. But you know what? I'm not very consistent when it comes to working out, but I've genuinely taken a few of the workouts that I've seen in the manga and tried using them in my own personal life, and not bad. The creators of this manga did their research, that's for sure. They even include references to what they did research for in the back. Somewhere. Where is it? It must have been one of the earlier volumes, because I can't seem to find it, but still. Anyway, next we got Dai Dark Volume 2. Have not read this one yet. I want to go back and reread Volume 1 first, but I'm also kind of waiting to do that, because pretty much like all new manga that's like coming out recently, it's slow to get new volumes, but it's still, based on this, it's still the same high quality release as Volume 1. Still nice, clean, crisp white pages with basically no yellowing, no bleeding. There's still at least 2 full color pages in here, which is beautiful. It just overall feels really thick and dense, despite being, I think, thinner than a typical Viz volume. So overall, I don't know if I mentioned this when I got Volume 1, but I think it was a worthwhile trade-off. You know, not as tall as the Dorohedoro volumes, which are, I think, right here where I'm pointing, but overall it is a much more quality product. Ooh, woo. Not much really to say about this series, except for I absolutely adore the art style, and I flipped through some of these because it's not one of those series you necessarily need to read in order, but I am still missing a bunch of volumes. Off the top of my head, I'm missing 2, 3, and 4, so I've only read Volume 1 so far, and I'm also missing Volume 7, but obviously, as I was saying, adore the art style. This does feel like a pretty solid volume. So I'll give it to Yen Press on that one. They need to hurry up and reprint some of their series, because this one, Akame ga Kill, I'm also waiting on volume 2 of the full color edition of High School of the Dead, and they also need to work on reprinting Plunderer. That's a series I want to start doing, because start collecting, because from what I know, it is written and illustrated by the same person who did the Heaven's Lost Property manga. Heaven's Lost Property manga is something I really want to get in English, because it was an anime I watched from my childhood, and even if it's, like, even by today's standards, it's kind of not very good. It kind of means a lot to me, and I want to read the manga, because apparently the manga is better, based on Mal ratings, which isn't saying much. Mal ratings are kind of unreliable for a lot of reasons. But either way, I want to get both of those series in English. But Yen Press, come on, get me Plunderer quicker, please. I'm willing to pay money. And whether it be Yen Press or Seven Seas occasionally does. I think they do like monthly like surveys on what you want to see them license. You guys too, do that. I wonder how many people have like submitted on the 7C survey, like, because there's a few, there's like 2 or 3 series I can think of off the top of my head that are not licensed in English yet, that I wish there were. I wish that the manga for Heaven's Lost Property was licensed in English. I wish the novels for Baka and Test were released in English, because I remember how the last episode of season 2 ended, even though it's been forever since I watched the anime, and I want to read it. I want to finish it. I want to complete the Baka and Test story. I want to know what happens. And then possibly read Way of Healer. That's another series that's 2 words, guilty pleasure, like Booty Royale was. Let's do some Blu-rays. First off, Way of Healer, guilty pleasure. It's fine. Not my favorite series of all time, but it's a very entertaining watch. And so I was surprised it got a official Blu-ray release at all. So that's something. Next up, Sergeant Frog Season 1. I hope Discotek plans to do more, because this is another anime I watched as a kid. 2 discs, 51 episodes, because they're standard edition, not HD. This is an old anime. I guess that makes sense. And also, it's Discotek. They're not as huge as, say, Viz or, like, Funimation, so I guess. I don't know. I haven't actually watched these yet. I might try to do that sometime soon, just to like check out what the video quality is like. But I wonder what they're going to do if they. I think in their tweets they were saying they were planning on releasing more of the Frog, that being these Blu-rays. But either they're just gonna do subtitles only because Funimation stopped dubbing after like 70 or something episodes, or maybe if they can somehow like crowdfund, like getting the original voice actors back to come and do dubs for the rest of it. I don't know which they're planning on doing. Either way, I'll probably support it, because I want to watch all of Sergeant Frog, another childhood anime. I didn't watch it all the time, or watch all of it at the time, because I watched the Funimation dub back when it was on Netflix. Yeah, talking too long on that one. I don't have anything else to say. This is the other blind box I was saying that was related to Parasyte. First 12 episodes, DVD. I don't know how useful this is going to be, because I can assumedly buy the Blu-rays that contains the entire anime at some point in the future, but I haven't yet, so that's kind of cool to have. Next up, I got the steel box edition of Your Name. I'm going to sell my original. This is basically the second best thing. There was a limited edition version of Your Name that was really nice looking. I can't get it now, except for very expensive on eBay, so I'll get the next best thing when the Steelbox came out. So now I have it, and I need to get rid of my OG cover with the slip thing on it. I'll probably try and sell it on eBay or something. I don't know. Next up, Weathering You with You. Fun little story about Weathering You with You. When it was coming out in theaters in America, I watched it with a friend. My friend invited me to watch it in theaters with him, and I was like, okay, cool. Sure, I'll watch it. I've never heard of Weathering with You before. And then I looked and I'm like, oh, it's by the same people that made Your Name. I heard a lot of good things about it. So literally, like, a few hours before I was to go to the movie theater and be picked up by my friend to go to the movie theater to watch Weathering with You, I watched Your Name because I saw that the characters from Your Name have a small cameo appearance in Weathering with You. So that's just like a funny little story. Next up is the Silent Voice Blu-ray. This is the limited edition. I just realized, real quick, this is the Weathering with You limited edition Blu-ray box set thingy. So I'll show a little bit of that. This is all the discs. Here we have oh, what was that? Here we have the 4K Ultra HD thing, which I don't think I can play it because I don't have a specific player for it. The regular Blu-ray, then a documentary, and underneath it is a Radwimps CD, including songs from the soundtrack, obviously. Next up, this little booklet, which I assume gives you information about the movie. I need to rewatch the movie, and then I'll probably actually read this. And then we have a sticker, some stickers, and then this very nice. Well, I say very nice, but it's as nice as one of these posters can be, despite it having to be folded up to fit inside the box, so it always has creases. I'm sure I can lessen the amount of crease damage by like putting it underneath something before hanging it up, but I don't think I'm going to hang it up anytime soon, because if I'm going to hang it up, I'll probably frame it or something so I don't have to like put holes in it. But as I was saying earlier, here we have the Silent Voice limited edition Blu-ray box set. Have not watched the movie yet. I plan on doing a reaction to that for the channel sometime in the future. Don't know when yet, but they got me with the marketing gimmick of saying limited edition, so I have it now. Comes with a nice little hardcover booklet. I have not, of course, read through it, but these are always kind of like appreciated in these kinds of things, just because you can get like a little look-see into like the behind-the-scenes stuff, which is a lot of fun. What else is in here? Right. Some, I assume, photos that the characters... Oh, no. Looks like screen caps from the movie, which I assume I'll be more likely to want to, like, hang them up once I've actually watched the movie and understand, like, the importance of some of these scenes. But, even without that kind of like extra context, I'm really bad at this, excuse me. I really like this one. It's very cute. I think I know the basic premise. This girl, main girl, this one, is deaf. And I think you could have guessed that anyway, even if you didn't know the plot's not like the basic, very basic like synopsis, just based on the title, A Silent Voice. But that's going to be something I'm going to look into watching in the future. That was all the Blu-rays and DVD. Oh, my voice is starting to go. I can really feel it. Next up, we have the second biggest art book in my collection. We have the Evangelion Illustrations, 2007 to 2017. Have not watched Thrice Upon a Time yet, because I feel like I want to rewatch the first 3 Evangelion movies first, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I've heard Thrice Upon a Time is pretty good, has a very conclusive ending to Evangelion, probably as a franchise is from what I heard. And also, they do some interesting things with Shinji's character. Again, biggest art book I now have, but it just goes to show you, flipping through this, it goes to show you just like how big of like an entity Evangelion is, you know? Because most of the illustrations in this book are from ads and collaborations. Like, there's some stuff at the beginning, like official art, some from Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, I believe, like official posters for when the rebuild movies were starting. But a lot of these are like I said, advertisements, crossovers with other things. You know, here we have one. Cool Japan. That's some kind of... Let me Japan National Tourism Organization, so they're doing a crossover there. We got some art for trains, you know. Oh, here's a good one to show. We have this like 7-Eleven That's a lot of this art book, which is fine because I love looking at the characters, just kind of like do everyday things. There was one that's just like a bunch of like illustrations of just the characters like holding a coffee can, obviously showing off the logo. But that is personally why I kind of like this one. Now, the biggest art book in my collection of art books, my small collection of art books, the Dirmon Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, that's what his name was, art book, The Art of Evangelion, because this focuses on Yoshiyuki Sadamoto's illustrations. For some other works, this portion is all like other works, but for the most part, it's his illustrations. These huge versions of his illustrations from the manga. We even have these huge ass colored in panels from the manga directly put in here. But yeah, I love seeing that because one of the biggest reasons why I loved how the manga for Evangelion turned out was because of the artwork. It's gorgeous, and I did fuck with a lot of the small changes in the story, especially when it got to the end of Evangelion section where the manga was adapting that movie. It is a little unfortunate that because I went into the table of contents this one has, and I was like, oh, Misato section, I have to flip to that one. But the Misato section is literally one page, and she technically shares the section with Pen. There's Pen right here. That's their only like individual pages by themselves. Misato, Best Girl Misato, appears in something later on. But yeah, her section is very short, which is very saddening for me. But I guess life goes on. That's why we have the internet. You can look up very specific art for Misato when you can't find like really good like official pieces. You know what I mean? And obviously those kinds of art if you're like me. But I'm not even. You know what? I was gonna make that joke, but I was like, nah. Not November. No, not November is a stupid joke. I don't fucking care. Like, so many people get so, and no pun intended. No, you know what? Fuck you. All pun intended. Some people get really evangelical about it. Like, oh, you have to because you will ascend. Like, the jokes get unfunny after a while. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Okay, the second to last section, we're getting into some light novels here. Let's start with the light novel series that I'm actually currently reading, over obviously the stuff I have not started reading yet. First things first, I saw they were all in stock, so I got all of the novels for Toradora. Toradora, basically one of, if not my favorite, anime rom-com animes of all time. I'll probably do another yearly rewatch of the series, though I don't know how that's going to go because I'm actively reading the novels right now. But as much as I do love like Kaguya-sama and Takane Hana, because this is basically my first one, my first rom-com anime, back when I watched a long time ago, it'll never. I don't think anything anytime soon is going to be overtaking it. So I'm glad to have the novels. Excited to read more. One thing I appreciate about this is that it's the same like across width as other like Viz manga of this like height, so they're not like Yen Press where like they're slightly slightly less wide, so they kind of don't stick out to the same degree on the shelf, which it's a small thing, but it's kind of cool. But yeah, really excited to get more on these. I love the little illustration in the front. The I don't know what it is, but the artwork on the fronts of these covers, something about them is just like super charming. I don't know. Maybe it's because I love the characters and just like seeing them in this like different art style. But there's something about the art style that's like, wow, I love it. You know what I mean? I can't. It's indescribable. But yeah. Oh, the next light novel series I've been working on reading is this. Oh, here we go. Whew. Oh God, the Sword Art Online. Oh, I need to move this microphone out the way a little bit. I don't know why I didn't make more space for myself on this table. Move the keyboard out the way. But here we got the Platinum Collector's Edition box set for the Sword Art Online novels. I kind of have a not really complicated history with Sword Art Online, but a very this might be normal. I don't know how many people have the same kind of history with Sword Art Online, but basically this collection collects the first 20 light novels into these 2 huge hardcovers. I'll show them in a second. I'm going to show off these art cards first. But it's basically, I watched the first season around the time it first was on Netflix, and then I watched season 2 on Hulu as that was coming out. And at the time, I thought it was the best thing ever made. It was the best thing since sliced bread. This, by the way, is a poster that has... it's the art that's on the box. This is the full version of it. Very cool. Unfortunately, it's got the creases, but you make do with what you can. But then here we have all 20 of the volume covers on their own individual art cards, which are absolutely gorgeous. I love ABEC, their drawings. Are really good to start. First of all, this is really good, but they get better overall. But anyway, but then basically with everybody else on the internet, after a while, I joined the hate mob, and I went from thinking Sword Art Online was the best anime ever made to Sword Art Online was the worst anime ever made. And while so far in these 2 huge volumes, basically as time has gone on, my opinion of the series has mellowed out. I don't think it's the best or the worst. I'm just kind of in the middle. I acknowledge that I really enjoyed it at the time, and that there are good things about the anime early on. There still is its fair share of problems, and it's nowhere near my favorite. But then, because of my opinion mellowing out, and because of my growing interest in light novels in general, I saw this fucking thing, and I was like, okay. And so far, I've read the first 2 novels, which encompasses the entire Aincrad arc. I'm planning on getting the progressive novels as well, but overall, I'm actually enjoying myself a lot more than I did. A lot more than I thought I would. Not more than when I initially watched the anime, when I thought it was literally perfect. There's still my problems with it, and which is why I want to read the progressive novels, to see how Reki Kawahawa has refined his writing ability, and how he's enhancing, so to speak, the Aincrad arc. But there are some things in the first 2 volumes I was not expecting. Like, I remember agreeing with everybody back when I hated the anime that Kirito was a blank slate, overpowered, like, edgelord protagonist. But reading this, I don't feel that at all. Like, I don't feel like he's a bland character. I don't feel like he's definitely really powerful, but I feel like the way he's described in the actual novel, because obviously the novel goes into a lot more, description of things, I didn't feel like the same, like, anger or, like, apathy or like negative emotion towards Kirito as a character. I actually quite enjoyed Kirito as a character, and a lot of his reactions to things felt real. I don't know how to describe it. It's still not perfect. Reki Kawahawa still isn't the best writer. Obviously, no one is. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. SAO's got me. I've gone full circle. I went from idolizing and adoring Sword Art Online to absolutely hating it, literally thinking it was worse than Hitler, to mellowing out, thinking it had its good points, and at the very least when I watched it I enjoyed it, but I don't anymore, to genuinely enjoying it again. Not to the same level as before, but genuinely enjoying it again. Move my mic a little bit here. Here we have the first volume. It's gorgeous. And I'll show you a little bit of the inside. If you're worried about the text being too small based on this, I know you will be. Don't worry, I was too. But also don't worry, because having read the first 2 volumes, you get used to it, and it's really not so bad. But it also... never mind. It's not worth mentioning. It also includes a little bit of ribbon to use as a place marker, which is really nice to have. Real quick, I'll show... It also comes with these cool little slip covers. I was originally keeping it on the shelf up here, but I moved it up the top so I have more space, and I'm keeping it in the box now. Real quick. Ooh. These are difficult to deal with. Oh, boy. Here we have the Volume 2 cover. See, this is what I'm really interested in, because even when I hated SAO, I was one of those people that it's like, oh, Mother Rosari is the only good arc because Kirito's not in it. I was one of those smartasses. But that's Yuki. That's 100% Yuki. Yuki would be in this volume. I'm pretty sure that's before Alicization. Alicization starts at, I believe, volume 8 or 9 in the light novels. So why is she here with I think these two characters are from Alicization. I think they are. But these characters here are from early in the series. So why is Yuki here? She dies at the end of Mother's Rosario, doesn't she? Don't spoil me in the comments, but I'm genuinely curious what's up with that. If anyone's interested, I might do reactions to... Maybe Alicization, like the anime adaptation. I've heard that one was pretty good. I've heard, I think... Which is it? There's Ordinal Scale, which is like a non-canon movie, I think. Then there's the progressive movies. I've heard those are good. I think. I've heard they're good. I might not have heard anything about those movies, and I'm just making shit up. And then there's also Gun Gale Online Alternative, or whatever it's called. Might have to check those out at some point in the future. Might do reactions to the anime for those. But who's to say at this point? But... But yeah, so far I'd say this was a relatively big purchase. This collector's edition, I think it was maybe $140, $150, because of that Right Stuff did save me some money. But there's another big purchase coming up, big light novel purchase coming up, and that is the Spice and Wolf Anniversary Collector's Edition. This is a series my friend has told me is very good. He's told me very good things about it, but I never got into it, and now I have all 17 of the original novels in one. From what I know, the author is still producing more novels, even though technically the main series is over. They're making something called Spring Logs, which is a bunch of like side stories and extra stories or something, and doesn't actually continue the story as far as I know. Similar, font size, so I know it won't be any problem. But I really, really love like the leather feel and how the text. It's just so premium feeling, and it was another like $150, I think maybe $160 or something for this specific volume because it's 17 volumes in one. Really high quality. The reason I got it is because it got reprinted somewhat recently, and I was like, I'm not gonna let this opportunity get past me this time. Because I saw it a long time ago. I don't know when, but people were reselling it for like $2,000, which is insane. So I'm glad Yen Press very occasionally will be like, oh, scalpers are taking it and this is worth reprinting, so let's do it. I hope Yen Press does that more with Triage X and Plunderer, and High School of the Dead full color edition. But yeah. Overall, have not read it, of course, but lovely stuff. The actual look of the paper, it'll be something you have to see in person. It's hard to see, but it feels like old-timey medieval-looking paper. It's got that aesthetic to it, just like the slight difference in color that's different from the Sword Art Online book, which is just like straight white, like glossy, shiny paper. As well, my friend who loves Spice and Wolf, he came over to my house and checked it out. It includes a little world map. It also includes the different color, the volume covers, the individual volume covers. He said that this was not included in any of the original official releases of these, so this is a cool thing to have to help you visualize, because he tells me that a lot of the series is traveling between the different places on the map, That's cool to have. My voice is really going. My throat really hurts because when I'm recording this video, I just finished recording the last 2 episodes in the Ryogojo arc of Gintama, and that was an hour-long video. Well, both of my recordings for the 2 episodes, for the total 4 episodes, the whole video without any edits is 2 hours long. So my throat is killing me right now because I've just been recording for another hour to do this video. I just gotta power through, though. I'm almost done here. Here we have The Creative Gene, which is a hardcover by Viz, detailing... It is written, I assume, by Hideo Kojima himself. Hideo Kojima, I'm a fan of his games. I love basically all of the Metal Gear Solid games. I've beaten all of the MGS games except for Peace Walker, 4, and... yeah, I haven't beaten any of like the non-canon spin-offs, like Portable Ops, Acid, Touch, whatever those are. Those are the 2 MGS games I have not beaten. One of my favorite series. I love it a lot. Even, no matter what you think of Kojima, he is an influential being. And, I don't know, I just love him. I haven't beaten Death Stranding yet. I want to play it when the director's cut version eventually comes out on PC, because you know it will, because Death Stranding, the original, came out on PC. I don't know if Sony's going to try and strangle out the people who bought the original Death Stranding on PC for another $60 for the Death Stranding, or even like a discounted price on the director's cut version. But I think it should just be a free update, because it's not like the transition from PS4 to PS5 where there's new hardware. You know, if you already own Death Stranding on PC, I think it should be a free update. But who's to say, honestly, since it hasn't even been confirmed to be a thing. It probably will. But I don't know if I should read this yet, because I haven't beaten Death Stranding. But I probably will in the I don't know. But I love how memes are like continuing to be a thing in his work. Just looking at the table of contents: introduction, memes are what connect us. Part 1, my lovable memes. It's an interesting thing. Memes are kind of, it's one of those things where it's like, when you think about it, memes are an integral part of the plot of like Metal Gear Solid 4 and Rising Revengeance. You know, because I know I've beaten Rising Revengeance, I haven't beaten 4, but I know a little bit about 4. Memes are kind of like a thing that are used a lot as like a plot device, which is both hilarious and interesting at the same time. Yeah, I look forward to whatever Kojima is doing in the future. Here we got Monster Girl Encyclopedia 2. Looking through it, there's some there's some Monster Girls I'm not even sure, are they real or are these made up by the authors? I don't know, but both these encyclopedias are pretty big. It includes things like this. I don't know what's up with that. I'll cover that up. If I need to censor it in post, I will, but I don't know what this is. But either they're getting some really obscure things, or they're just making things up. Either way, I'm in the middle of reading volume 1. It's an interesting read, all right. It's not your typical novel, even though it technically kind of is a novel, isn't it? Because there's a lot of text. Next up, the last few light novels. I got volumes 2 and 3 of Neon Genesis Evangelion Anima. Have not read them yet, but again, super interested to check them out. I wonder, because, like I was saying, from what I had heard, Thrice Upon a Time is the end of all Evangelion pieces of media. I don't know what that means yet, but because Evangelion is so huge, I can't imagine they'll stop, right? Even if they don't have Hideaki Anno. I know it's like his Studio Kara, but like even still, he could probably just like hand it off to a different studio to, like, I don't know, adapt the Anima novels or something. I don't know. I'm not saying they should, because it is possible to milk things to death. They might be doing that with Code Geass, because the 10 more years planned, but so far there hasn't been much to come out of that yet. Still waiting on Daken no Z, I think it's called. But whatever. I'm almost done. My throat still hurts, so I need to finish this with the Western comic. Let's start with these ones. Here we got Smoke and Shadow, Avatar: Last Airbender. I have a bunch of Avatar comics I haven't read yet, including this one. I need to get to them eventually. Not much else to say about it other than that. Here we have the Black Ops Omnibus Volume 1 hardcover version. I supported the Black Ops X Common America, aka Black Ops Volume 4 on Kickstarter, because I'm a fan of the series. I'm a fan of Mark Pellegrini and Timothy Lim. So it's kind of cool that I now have this, but I didn't need this. The thing is, they accidentally sent me this instead of this. So they were like, oops, we accidentally sent you this instead of this, so we'll send you this, and you can keep the hardcover omnibus, which is really cool. I don't know what I'm going to do with the original paperback omnibus I have. I think I'll just, I don't know, maybe sell it to somebody else who wants to read the series, along with my paperback Common Americas that I have, since I have the hardcovers now. But either way, cool series, great series, can't wait to see more of it. The webcomics are also a lot of fun. The rest of the Western comics is one series. It's gonna be a bit much, but here we have it's the rest of Invincible. I got the rest of Invincible, and now that I've finished reading Invincible, I can confidently double down on what I said in the last manga haul video I did, where I said that I wasn't sure when Kick-Ass claimed to be the greatest superhero comic of all time because Invincible exists. And now that I've read the rest of Invincible, I can confidently say that this is the greatest superhero comic in the universe. Maybe the best comic in the universe, period, because it is genuinely super amazing. There were some problems here and there. There were some problems I had with the ending specifically, but overall, it was still an amazing series. I cannot wait until Season 2 eventually comes out, and, everything after Season 2 as well, just to see what potential changes they're going to make. Because one particular fight at the end that I can think of, without spoiling what's going on, who's fighting who, and how it ends up, two characters are literally fighting on the sun, which was so badass. Like, it was visually incredible. Thrag as a character was really cool. He was awesome. Here he is on the back. Thrag right here. Such a great character. I don't know who some of these characters are going to be voiced by in the series going forward. I will say I hope Angstrom Levi is voiced by Dave Fennoy, because when I was reading the comics, basically the Walking Dead video games, Lee, who was also voiced by Dave Fennoy, that was just the voice I heard in my head when Angstrom Levi was ever, a part of the storyline on screen, on page, I guess you could say. And I don't know who should voice Thrag, but I was looking online and somebody suggested Nolan North, which is kind of a weird suggestion. Nolan North to voice Thrag. I can't think of how many times he's played a villain. To be fair, pretty much the only thing I know Nolan North for is Uncharted. But I know he did Richtofen in the Black Ops Zombie series. But it was kind of interesting to read Thrag with Nolan North's voice, But that's, I don't really have much else to say. This is the last volume. I do wish the variant cover of issue 144 was included by itself in the extras. This series and High School of the Dead full color edition have some of the best extras. There's just so many extra comments from the creators in both of them that it's just a joy to read them. But they included a sketch version of the variant cover of issue 144, which is a callback to issue 1 of the series. But with, it's not that big of a spoiler, it's fine, with Mark's daughter basically doing the same pose. It's such a good, way to, wrap up the series, but unfortunately, they don't include, the full page size, full colored edition of it. It's disappointing, but, other than that, fantastic series, so I'm so glad I decided to check this out. I'll probably maybe not reread the whole thing, but at least reread some of it when Season 2 is coming out, so I can at least compare the season and the comic. But my voice is really killing me. And thank God that's actually, okay, yes, that is everything. Wow. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I have to say I enjoyed making it. I was hoping this would be shorter, but I guess not. If you watched all the way to this point, though, thank you so very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single upload in the future. Thank you once again for watching. Peace.